can't say that. You can't say bomb in an airport.
That.
Wounding your best friend?
Who needs this? I don't need it. Why would I rent to a church?
Buy large firecrackers.
Got a job working at Discount Auto Parts.
We're gonna have a wrestling
Jamie,
match.
you were one of the wrestlers.
Things were spinning a little bit last year.
Yeah. Man, this seems crazy that 20 years ago we were talking about starting a church. I mean, 6 of us in a table that was kind of like the one that was in our kitchen there, and Jamie and Carly were with us, and Kevin and Charlotte were with us, and Carl and Kristen were with us, like right in the front end of that as well. And here we sit 20 years later, going, look how far we've come.
Right.
And we're old.
We are
Incredibly old and decrepit.
We're glad that you guys are joining us. What we're going to do, the 4 of us are going to do, is we're going to kind of walk you through segments of Relevant Church. We're going to walk through like the first 5 years, then the next 5 years, and the next 5 years, and the last 5 years that we've experienced. And then on Sunday, January 26th, I'm going to talk to you about where are we going now. And so let's just jump in. Jamie and Carly, what were the first things that you guys remember about us kind of even moving into where we were at in Ybor?
I mean, it was like we were orphans. We were trying to get anywhere. We were going to launch this church, and it was going to change the world. And we were going to reach these, young professionals, because we thought we were just slightly older than young professionals at that point. And then we were going to do this. And then we kept trying to go around to different parts of town. I remember you really had a lot of inspiration from Stump Supper Club and Howl at the Moon. Yeah. With the piano bar, and I think really that sense of community was what, we really try to recreate at Relevant in a lot of ways. And then come to find out nobody would have us. We're Jews in the wilderness.
We definitely were wilderness wanderers in those days.
We did a prayer walk, though, in Channelside, kind of targeting that area, praying that God would open a place. And then we went down to... We did go down to Hyde Park.
Oh, yeah, we did do that.
Right? Like the movie theater there we were talking about. But
they just laughed.
Yeah.
They did. Yeah. We emailed them, and they're like,
lots of no's. No,
and
no. And I guess that was God's way of saying, nope, you're going to be in Ybor.
I like to think that they were sinful.
Anywhere but Ybor.
They were sinful, those people. Yeah. But then Ybor came up, and, this is where the center of things are.
We were going to be in the movie theaters down there.
So we thought.
Oh, that's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Had a conversation with the local business owner, and he's like, why don't you just rent right here?
Why don't you rent at the Italian Club?
He nabbed us. That's right. We were getting close to signing something, and then old Joe comes in with his napkin. And he's like, let's do this. I'll have you here for a deal you can't say no to. Yeah. And then he sticks it in his pocket.
Carly, do you remember, you and Susie and Kristen all talking about what is kids ministry going to be like? Because you had just had your first child.
Yeah, Kristen and I both had just had our first.
And
we're like teeny babies, and yet
we're hey guys, we're starting a church in Ybor.
Right.
The greatest place for kids.
Right.
They ended up being basically in the first floor of the Italian Club, which was their bar on Friday and Saturday night.
Yep.
And so we would walk in many Sundays, and there was a big jar of old sangria from the night before.
Oh, yes.
So it smelled kind of like that. So
floors were quite sticky.
Yep, and there'll be scorpions in there.
Sticky floors. We did put mats down for the littles, but yeah. It was an
lot
experience.
Of setting up.
Yep, set up, tear down.
Yeah, for that first, 4 years, it was set up, tear down. We'd put barn doors, actually regular doors, in there, and then later replaced by fence panels.
Yep.
Right? And
PVC fence panels.
Yep. And then we had teams, 7 people that would come, set it up in the morning. And back then, I was also cooking. Yeah. So I would work with Waylon the night before at the cantina, and it'd be like midnight or 1, and I'd be sliding the chairs out of the way to get them ready for the morning. And then the team would come in, set it up.
Those were the days. Those first 5 years were something because we were portable and we were setting up and tearing down, and I don't think any of us, we didn't think anything about it because it was all we knew. It was just what we did.
But the band and the tech and rolling out all of that for Sunday morning. It wasn't just the kids areas. It was the 3rd floor. We had some
elementary
things for
stuff.
That. Yeah. And one of my most vivid memories is when we actually did have a fire we had to evacuate, and we were on the 3rd floor.
Oh, that's right, in between the buildings.
Yes, there was a fire in
All the
between
kids, I'm
buildings.
like, line up, put my teacher mode on, and we marched down 3 flights of stairs.
I remember that because the
Crazy.
teacher from BT Washington who came that Sunday
Yeah.
had told me, she said, Paul, remember Tara
Oh,
Bemshalov?
yeah.
Tara said, if I go to church, the building will burn down,
I
Paul.
said it did that week.
And that week, it caught on
Hello.
fire. Like those
It was in
were,
between the building, but it was
It was
yeah,
like
crazy.
3 inches of space that some guy threw a cigarette in there.
So what I want to do is I want to capture kind of nuggets of the first 5 years and then subsequently the following 5 years and stuff. So let's just start at the beginning. Like, what were some of your greatest memories of the first 5 years of Relevant Church when we were portable all the time, we were meeting in the Italian club, we didn't know what we were doing? Like,
Yeah.
what were some of you guys' favorite times?
So we were really trying to focus on outreach because we wanted to just get bodies in the seats, right? And so one of the things that was happening in the city of Ybor was a little parade called the Guava
A little
Wing
parade?
Yes.
It was enormous.
Oh
was
my word!
enormous.
It was a big
They had
deal.
bands
It
everywhere.
was a whole weekend. I can remember, we were just involved in that and the daytime stuff we were doing. But I remember meeting one particular person, and she was brought along by one of the guys that was attending. His name was Matt Arroyo, and he brought along his girlfriend. Her name was Natalia. And so in between the building we were walking, I'll never forget this. It's as real as I can remember it happening like yesterday. And we're walking along, and she was in front of me, and she turned around and she said, by the way, I'm an atheist. I'm just here, because of Matt. And I'm like, that's great. Come on along. Let's just do this thing. And so that was amazing because we all know Matt and Natalia's story.
Yeah.
She became a Christ follower, gave her life to Jesus, and then they got married. Paul married them. They're part of our ministry still today, and their kids are being
And that was
raised
in the first 5 years.
in the church. First, year, I would say. So,
First couple, well, at least first couple
Yeah.
of years.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So what about you, Carly? What do you remember about those first 5 years? The craziness of the first
The
5?
craziness of whoever came up with the 30-day sex challenge. I don't know.
That
I
would
think
be the
it was
person sitting next to you.
probably, most likely.
Practice What You Preach is taking on a whole new meaning at a Bay Area church. That church has issued a 30-day sex challenge to its congregation.
The idea is simple. Married couples have sex every day for 30 days, and singles abstain from sex, all in an effort to strengthen relationships.
Married people to engage in sexual intimacy, which is kind of the strongest bond that they have, and you tell single people, let's take the sex part out of it, which could muddy the things up for you. But it really is about people connecting on a really deep level emotionally, finding out what each other's emotional needs are.
As a Christian, we want to 100% give ourselves to our mates, and that kind of shows the love of Christ.
We were big on just series that would capture people, and this one definitely captured not only the local community, but pretty much worldwide.
Yeah.
So, we did the 30-day sex challenge as a series, and it basically just blew up.
Yeah.
Now, it was a 30-day challenge. I just realized we didn't say stop, so it's been great.
It's been great for you guys.
Absolutely.
Really. So you guys are 20 years deep in
20
this.
years
Yeah.
in. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Carly,
We had
praise the
babies
Lord.
born from that, though.
We did have babies
Yes,
born.
yes. Sure did.
That
You
was
know,
crazy.
I think that, one of the things I remember is right after we launched, the next year, Katrina hit.
Over the next 24 hours, it's hard to know precisely what we're going to find tomorrow night when we talk to you again. Storm will strike Gulf Coast today. God bless us. New Orleans prays as Katrina bears.
We launched in January. I think Katrina was August of 2005. So we launched January 2005. Not 8 months later, Katrina hit New Orleans. And we didn't have any money. We didn't know what we were going to do, but we said, what could we do? And Jamie, I don't know if it was you or somebody else, a church had reached out and they said, hey, you can come help us, because we realized that we had been doing stuff because I think we had a couple of other
It
hurricanes
was
that
like
came
5
through.
the year before. That was
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
crisscross
Earlier.
applesauce,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And then we had one chainsaw. Jim Austin hooked us up with that, and then he brought the skid steer.
Yeah.
That in Wauchula.
Yeah, watch
And
you look.
then, Katrina
Then
hit.
Katrina hit. And so there were 5 weeks that we sent teams to New Orleans and Gulfport, Mississippi for 5 weeks straight. People took off work. We sent teams in. We slept in the church, in a church gymnasium in Gulfport, Mississippi. And I think it kind of became our mantra that Relevant Church was going to be a church that if there was a disaster or if there was a way that we could tangibly help somebody, we weren't going to talk about helping somebody. We would actually do it. And that really led into probably our first rehab project.
Yeah, well, you figure Virginia.
Yeah.
Many of you guys know her from being at church. She was a neighbor of Henry. Henry was one of our early members.
One of your best friends from college.
In fact, the best part about Henry was that he was my college friend. He lived with us for a while and ate us almost out of house and home. And Henry's like, hey, it was Extreme Home Makeover
That's
was
what
the
we were
series
doing
at the time. And we're like, let's do this. It'll only take a couple weeks.
Well, no, we said we were going to market it. And then we said, instead of marketing, like doing, back in those days, we would do yard signs or we would do a billboard or
let's
something.
Let's just do someone's house.
Because there was no Facebook.
Yeah.
Right.
Facebook launched in 2005, but it was really only for college students then.
Yeah.
So, in these early days, like the marketing was all like kind of like grassroots marketing.
So we did it though. Fast forward, you guys spent like every waking hour there.
Oh yeah,
for weeks.
It was
and weeks.
3 months. We had to remake her windows twice because we measured them all the wrong way.
Because the city makes you do it historically, because she was right there inside of Ybor City proper. And so, but it ended up being a beautiful, amazing makeover, and God used it.
Yes, except
and
for
she
the
trusted
fact
Christ.
she did trust. I remember my dad. There's some crazy, fun pictures that we have that I'm sure you guys will see. One is like my son is like 6 years old, and he's
digging through
he's digging up bricks
of
so that we could actually pave her driveway.
Yes,
and
make it nice.
you know, those. I think those were the first thing. Like that's what I remember. Like everybody that was part of Relevant, even their kids were involved. Like it was a whole family thing. We did Relevant together.
Didn't have a choice.
And we grew.
It's true.
Yeah.
And we grew. And God grew us, and it grew really fast.
And it grew the ethic of serving others.
Yes.
That was two things that Relevant always did really well in those early years. Was really reaching out to people that nobody wanted to reach to. And then secondly, serving. And it's interesting because as churches grow older, you, me, there's less serving ethic that happens. As you get into those golden years, you're like, I'm more cushy.
I want to sit back.
You want to sit back?
I want to pay somebody else to do it.
But we had to serve because every single Sunday we had to get up, be there, set up, tear down.
Yeah.
It was like you had that as your DNA. Even though we
ingrained.
sat around as three couples in our living room and said, we're going to be this and we're going to be this. And we feel like
we
God
had no
wants to be
idea.
this.
Yeah.
It's like God just molded all of what Relevant was through those early days and different things that we did.
And
through
we
outreach
grew,
and
like,
evangelism.
People
and
really enjoyed
serving.
that. They really
Yeah,
did.
I do think that people resonated with the idea that it was a church that wasn't talking about serving people.
Yeah.
It was a church that actually served
And
people.
everybody was
Yeah, now for its own
hands-on.
purposes.
Yeah.
You know,
Because it
just
was like, we didn't care who got the credit for it.
Yeah.
We
Right.
just wanted to do it. And, you know, those early days, just kind of seeing people come, we had no idea all that God was going to do. I think looking back now, 20 years later, if I were to talk to my 20-year ago self, we had some grandiose plans of where we would be, we would be celebrating our 20-year anniversary. I remember one of those ideas that we were going to celebrate it at Amalie Arena. Do you remember that?
You can still rent it out if you want.
I could rent it out.
I don't think it'll be
I
what
think
you
all
wanted.
we need is a smaller space, though. You don't need the whole thing. But I don't think I would change it. I don't think I would change where we've been and what we've seen God do, because those first 5 years set us up, I believe, for the next 15 more that we went through.
I think the one thing, close out this segment, I think you said it well. 4 Sundays ago, maybe 5 by now. It was in some, and if, you know, everyone, so Paul and I know each other very well. So his preacher voice doesn't work on me. We're just too much of friends. It's just what it is, right? But the one thing that really reigned true in that message is that a lot of times we thought we were going to see ourselves a certain way in this ministry, like where it's going to look like. And then I think you said it, that it in some ways didn't measure up the way you thought it would in the beginning. And then, of course, you know, so many people's lives have come in and lives are adjusted, and we never want to go back and adjust that. But like the reality of what ministry is measured at when we start out, we're going to look like everybody else. And then when you see the footprint or the thumbprint of God on what's happened, you realize, maybe this is his plan. It wasn't necessarily for a Coliseum church. It wasn't necessarily to keep up with the suburban whatever it is, but this is what God's plan was. And, you know, as much as we try to fit that into what we thought that mold was, and other churches have come along and got real big, you know, and we set little bags of poop on fire on their front lawn. But you know, at the end of the day, the truth, where'd everybody go? No, don't time out. They left. Yeah.